Hello everybody, this is Anita, your science teacher. Children, today we're going to learn a new lesson, flower, plants and decoration. You all have seen the flowers which are in different colors, different shape, right? So let's know more about the flower. As you all know that flower is the part of a plant. So it becomes important to know about the plant and then let's know about the flower. The plant, it belongs to the living things category. We know that there are two categories, the living thing and the non-living thing. In living thing, there are certain characteristics. That is, the living thing can breathe, they can reproduce, they can move, they can feel, they die. We, the human beings and the animals, with the plant, we fall into the category of living things. On the other hand, we have the other group, which is the non-living thing. They have the opposite characteristics of the living thing, which is they don't move, they don't breathe, they can't feel, they don't reproduce, and they don't die. In the non-living thing, we have the table, the chair, the book, the pencil. So these are the non-living things. Coming back to the living things, amongst the plant, there are few common characteristics that our plants share. The plants, they reproduce, they prepare their own food, they breathe, they also move in the direction of the sun. In the living thing, there is one special characteristic that only the plant has, and we the human beings and the animals, we don't. What's that? The plant is the only living thing which can produce its own food. The human being and the animals, we depend on the plants or on the other animals for the food. From the plants, we human beings, we take the fruits, we take the vegetables, we take the cereals, we take the spices. There are many things, many ingredients that we take from a plant to produce our food. We also depend on other animals for their flesh, for their meat, the egg. We depend on them for these purposes to prepare the food. The animals, on the other hand, some of the animals, they eat the plant, which are called as the carnivorous. The other, they eat the other animals. So, plants is the only living thing that can prepare its own food with the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. Before we discuss that, let us look in the parts of a plant. I'm sure most of you have seen the plant around your surrounding or maybe in your house. It may similarly look like this. The first thing that you see is the root. The root is below the ground, which is not visible. Unless you pluck the plant, only then you will be able to see the root. So the root grows under the plant. Then you have the stem that is above the ground. Then we have the leaf, the fruit, and the flower. All the parts of the leaf plays an important role in a plant. How? The root absorbs the water and mineral from the soil and sends it to the stem. The stem then carries that to the leaf. The leaf, you have seen the leaf is green in color. Why is it green in color? Because it has the pigment called chlorophyll. That's why you see the leaves are in green in color. The chlorophyll helps in absorbing the sunlight from the air that will in turn help in the process of preparing the food. The leaves have certain holes which are called the stomata. The stomata will help in absorbing the carbon dioxide and leaving the oxygen outside. For preparing the food, the leaf requires the sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. Once the food is prepared, it is sent to all the parts of the plant. Sometimes the food, after consuming, it is stored. Now, how is the food stored? The food is stored in the form of starch. The starch is there in the root, the leaf, the fruit, and the flower. So here is where the plant stores the food. The food that has been prepared by the leaf is called glucose. Okay? And then comes the fruit. The fruit is the one that bears the seed. It has the seed. You have seen many of the fruit. When you cut it, you can see a lot of seed inside that. So the fruit is the one that bears the seed. With the help of the seed, we can grow new plants. Then comes the flower, which is very colorful and very attractive in the plant. Now, flower is a very important part in a plant because the flower is the one that will help in the reproduction of a new seed. How we will learn that? So I hope you all understood the part of the plant children and the uses of the parts. The food that the plant prepares is called as photosynthesis. Photo means sunlight, synthesis means together. So the sunlight, carbon dioxide, water together, the leaf prepares the food. As we all, the human being and animals, need food, proteins, nutrition for our growth and for the reproduction purpose. Likewise, the plant also requires the food, which is the energy for its growth. So this is the part of the plant. Now, let us look into the structure of a flower. As there are parts of plant, there is parts of the flower as well. Let us look into the parts of the flower now. Starting, we have the stalk. The stalk is the one that would connect the flower to a plant. You can see the flower here, it would be connected like this. The stalk connects the flower to the plant. And then we have the sepal. They are the small leaves that is under the flower. And then we have the petals. The petals are in different shades. In different flowers, they are in different colors and in different shapes. The petal is the most beautiful thing in the flower. And that's the one that will attract the pollinators to come and sit on the pollen of the flower that will help in the pollination. That we will learn. Next comes the filament. The filament is the one that will connect the anther to the ovary. Then comes the anther. In the anther, you have the pollen grains, which is the male gametes, which will allow in the help or in the process of the fertilization, the reproduction of the seed. The anther and the filament together is called as the stamen. The stamen is the male part in a flower. Then we have the stigma. The stigma is at the top of the flower. This is the one that will allow the pollinators to collect the pollen in the anther and put it on the stigma. The stigma, with the help of the style, a style is a tube that you see that connects it to the ovary. The ovary is the one that will help in the growth of a new seed, new embryo. And here you have the ovules. The ovules are called the female gametes, which will help in the formation of a new seed or new embryo when the male gametes and the female gametes, they get fused in the ovary. Now, how does it get fused? Let's look into that. To understand this, we need to understand what are pollinators. Children, you have seen in the garden or in your school area that you see the butterfly, the honeybees, and some birds, they come and sit on these flowers to suck the sweet juice that is there in the flower. Now, while it's sucking the juice, it sits on these anthers, and these anthers have the male reproductive cell, which then the pollinators will move from one flower to another, or they will sit on the same flower. When the pollinator sits on this flower, it will drop the male pollens on the stigma. The stigma, then a tube is formed, a tube is seen, which will allow the male gametes to enter into the ovary. Ovary is the area where the new seed will take place. Here we already have the female gametes. So the female gametes and the male gametes, when they fuse, a new seed is formed. Now the stigma, the style, and the ovary and the ovules together are called as the pistil, which is called as the female part of the flower. So stigma, style, ovary, ovules, they are called the pistil, which forms the female part of the flower. So we understood that how important a pollinator is in making a new seed or a new embryo. We see we have many pollinators like the bees, the butterflies, the birds, the bat. All these pollinators, they like different kinds of flowers. The petals, as I mentioned before, they play a very important role in attracting these pollinators. So once the pollen is fallen here, and then the stigma, with the help of the style, will allow the male pollen to enter into the ovary, and when the egg is formed, this process is called as pollination. Okay, so I hope you people have understood the structure of the flower and how the pollinator helps in the pollination or the fertilization or the reproduction of the new seed. Children, as we spoke about flower, it is important to know that there are two types of flowers, which is called the imperfect flower and perfect flower. Now, what is an imperfect flower? An imperfect flower is the one that either has only the only the male part, that is the anther or filament, or it will either have only the stigma, style, ovary and ovules, which is the female part. So imperfect flower is the one which will have either only the female part or only the male part. Whereas a perfect flower is the one which will have both of them, that is the female part and the male part. This is necessary in the pollination. Also, children, you need to know that the flower, it is being used for many purposes. How? In a plant, it plays an important role in the pollination. But when it comes to the human beings, how do we use these flowers? We use the flower either for decoration or for puja purpose. But do you know that these flowers, they have very good fragrance. These fragrances are used to make your perfumes, your agarbattis. And some of the flowers have some medicinal qualities, so they are used for making some medicine, some cream. So the flowers are helpful in many ways. That is the thing that it speaks in this lesson, which is the flower is a part of the plant and the flower is used for many other purposes, which includes the decoration. I hope you children have understood the importance of the flower, how the pollinators play an important role in the reproduction in a flower. I hope you enjoyed this class, children. Thank you so much. All of you have a great day.